Por volta de 1300 a.C., um povo que falava uma forma antiga da língua grega habitou grandes porções da Grécia. Eles eram conhecidos como micênios e durante anos suas guerras e escândalos, proezas e conquistas foram matéria-prima de lendas e estabeleceram os alicerces da civilização grega. Micenas, a capital, era rodeada por uma cidadela maciça construída ao longo de 150 anos. De acordo com o mito, nesta cidade os micênios foram liderados por um rei chamado Agamenon, cujas lutas épicas foram registradas pelo poeta Homero no século VIII a.C. em duas das narrativas mais famosas da história, a Ilíada e a Odisseia.
So, the Iliad was something like the Bible for ancient Greeks. It contained a moral story. It told you how you should live. It described gods, it described religion, but also described people. It described situations. It gave ideals that you should look upon.
As narrativas da Ilíada e da Odisseia tornaram-se famosas. O sequestro de Helena por Paris, os 10 anos do cerco infligidos por Agamenon a Troia, e o gigante cavalo de madeira utilizado pelos gregos para entrar em Troia e destruir a cidade. Embora as proezas de Agamenon durante a Guerra de Troia tivessem sido heróicas, seu retorno a Micenas não teve uma recepção muito calorosa. Ele foi assassinado pela própria esposa.
Scholars have debated for centuries whether or not Homer actually penned the Iliad and the Odyssey, or whether he just collected the folk tales of song, or whether he had anything to do with them at all. But if the ancient Greeks came back today, they'd scoff at this pithy harangue. Because of the ancient Greeks, Homer wasn't just some top 40s folk singer, nor was he the best-selling hack writer of some piece of pulp fiction. Homer was an historian. And these legends weren't the bedtime stories to be whispered to the kiddies before the oil lamps were blown out. These were accountable facts. This is what is left of Mycenae, the capital city of which Homer writes, and where many, including me, would like to believe that Agamemnon really ruled. These ruins show us that not only were these early Greeks master builders, but they were capable of some amazing engineering feats.
As you approach Mycenae, first thing, of course, that you will see is the fortification walls, which are very impressive. And immediately you have this feeling of awesome.
Os muros da cidadela de Micenas são formados por blocos de pedra e cada um pesa cerca de 10 toneladas. Foram dispostos com tal precisão que cada pedra se encaixa perfeitamente no bloco adjacente. Mas, como vista inspiradora, nada em Micenas chega perto da colossal entrada principal da cidadela, o Portal do Leão.
This is the Lion's Gate, the main gate to the citadel of Mycenae. It is one of the most stunning structures of all of early antiquity. It is an imposing piece of symbolism. It is an imposing piece of engineering. 2 lions standing fully upright, their paws on the base of a column. Their heads, which are missing, would be turning outward. Anybody approaching this gate would know that Mycenae stood for one thing: power. Structurally, the gate looks to be a standard engineering practice of post and lintel construction. These vertical elements here, these massive piers, are the posts supporting the lintel, the horizontal element, which weighs about 12 tons. But it is above the gate where the lions live that the engineers took it one step further. If you look at this triangle of indented stones right by the lions, it develops an element that we call the corbelled arch.
Suppose you have these 4 stones, and instead of piling them up, you try to create an opening from that side, and you steal a little bit of space by putting them this way. This is cobbling. If we are a little bit more ambitious, because this is not sufficiently large, and we try to displace further these stones, still in corbelling, then we are running this risk that this is falling down. So what is the little trick? It's simple. You start putting counterweight behind each of these corbelled stones.
Now, this triangle, first of all, we should say that this is a true Mycenaean innovation. This is something that we see for the first time, most probably worldwide. So in that sense, we are looking at something that's very innovative, very new.
Os engenheiros micênios levaram o arco avançado passo além. Eles aplicaram a ideia para criar um revolucionário espaço interior com uma cobertura chamada abóboda. A cobertura era utilizada em apenas um tipo de construção: túmulos. Como os egípcios, os micênios construíram estruturas extraordinárias para abrigar seus líderes mortos. Esses túmulos chamavam-se tóloi. Suas construções partiram de algo que os engenheiros micênios nunca haviam feito.
I mean, the circular form is completely absent in the architectural minds of the Mycenaeans. The Mycenaeans work with straight lines and right angles. So the circle is just for this kind of structure. So that makes the impression and the symbolism of the circle as related to death even stronger.
Construir tóloi era gigantesco empreendimento de engenharia. O primeiro passo era cavar a lateral de uma colina.
So they dug this trench, and this trench would form the dromos, which means in Greek road or way. In this case, it's a walkway to the tomb, and it's flanked on each side by these beautiful almond stones set in lengthwise and edgewise. Now, 3,200 years ago in 1200 BC, a visitor approaching would walk down this dromos, and then he would be confronted by an unbelievably magnificent and stunning sight, this massive doorway. The doorway would be flanked by two fantastic columns carved out of solid green marble with zigzag and spiral designs going all the way up. Each one of these massive stones is 2.5 feet tall, and there are 33 rings of these stones laid out in a conical shape. Now, each layer of stone is laid over the lower one in a sort of protruding fashion. That's what we mean by the core-build style. And then they're shaved down to make it all very smooth.
In order for this structure to be stable, you need a constant pressure from outwards inwards, very much like a barrel where you need this band, this metallic band around to keep the rings together. This pressure comes from the addition of earth. As they build, they add earth from around, and quite a lot of earth, and there comes a point when they have finished the beehive structure inside. At the same time, they have built a whole earthen mound on top.
Por volta de 1100 anos antes de Cristo, essa civilização grega se desintegrou e desapareceu repentina e misteriosamente.
There's lots of theories about that. I think the most dominant one is new tribes, new barbarian tribes came from the steppes, and they attacked the civilizations of Egypt, they attacked the civilization of Mesopotamia, causing disruption in the trade routes. That became their fall.
Com a queda de Micenas, a Grécia entrou na Era das Trevas. Por 4 séculos, sua cultura caiu em profundo torpor. Então, no 8º século antes de Cristo, as cidades-estados autonomamente começaram a se desenvolver e a florescer. Cada qual forjando sua própria identidade e competindo por superioridade econômica, militar e tecnológica. Uma ilha grega em particular, Samos, veria a construção de um dos feitos de engenharia mais impressionantes do mundo antigo, movendo montanhas para levar água ao povo. Esparta, Atenas, Corinto, Tebas. Estas são apenas algumas das mais de 100 cidades-estados que emergiram por toda a Grécia 400 anos após o desaparecimento da civilização micênia. Antes do advento da democracia na Grécia, muitas dessas cidades-estados eram lideradas por um único governante, chamado de tirano na Grécia Antiga. Por volta de 540 a.C., um tirano chamado Polícrates governou a ilha e cidade-estado de Samos, no mar Egeu Oriental.
He was quite a player on the international scene. He made tactical alliances, not just with the Persians, but also, for example, with the Egyptians. He was an ambitious figure.
Polícrates viu que o caminho para o poder de uma ilha como Samos era pelo mar. Ele construiu uma frota de 100 triremes, aterrorizando as cidades-estados vizinhas e taxando navios que passavam pela região.
Under Polycrates, Samos, his home island, became the dominant sea power, and that was the basis of his wealth and power.
Com sua riqueza recente, Polícrates construiu muros defensivos em torno da capital e se lançou a resolver um problema que atormentava muitas cidades no árido clima mediterrâneo: água potável.
Samos was a very, very important and powerful city. They were needing a lot of water and they were short of water.
Havia uma nascente abundante, mas ficava a 274 metros no Monte Castro. Polícrates e seus engenheiros tinham que imaginar o modo de ligar a cidade à fonte. Construir um aqueduto em torno da montanha não era uma opção.
You could construct a water supply system around the mountain, but the first thing a besieging enemy would do to cut off that water line, and there you are with your wonderful fortification, with your wonderful new walls, and you're drying out.
A solução requeria algo fora do comum. Polícrates procurou um engenheiro chamado Eupalinos. Este veio com uma solução que literalmente significava mover uma montanha, um túnel que atravessasse o Monte Castro. Seria um projeto enorme e extenso.
The time needed for such tunneling should be enormous. Therefore,